What if Sweden exposed a flaw in the West's air defense?
I have selected the news about Sweden buying and testing copies of Russian attack drones. This news possesses the highest combination of intrigue, speculative potential, and audience relevance. The intrigue factor is exceptionally high. A neutral, technologically advanced nation like Sweden procuring and testing the copies of its adversary's primary weapon is a dramatic and ironic development with profound strategic implications. Its speculative potential is immense, as the core of the story hinges on the outcome of these tests, providing a perfect pivot point for a what-if scenario that could radically alter Western defense doctrine. Finally, its relevance is undeniable. Drones are the defining weapon of modern conflict, and this story connects the ongoing war in Ukraine, NATO's strategic posture, and the future of warfare in a tangible, accessible way for a globally minded audience. In this what-if scenario, what if Sweden's tests of captured Russian drones revealed that their low-cost, good-enough philosophy of warfare is strategically more effective than the West's focus on high-cost, exquisite systems, forcing a complete and urgent rethink of NATO's air defense doctrine? The moment the classified Swedish Defense Research Agency, Flaw, report is leaked to NATO allies, it triggers an existential crisis across the Western defense establishment. Stock prices for major defense contractors like Lockheed Martin, MBDA, and Rheinmetall, whose fortunes are tied to multi-million-dollar interceptor missiles, plummet. Conversely, shares in smaller firms specializing in mass-produced UAVs and electronic warfare soar. A flurry of emergency meetings is convened at NATO headquarters in Brussels, as member states question the billions spent on air defense systems seemingly designed for a different era. The report becomes a political firestorm, with opposition parties in Germany, France, and the UK demanding parliamentary inquiries into their nation's procurement strategies. The media narrative is one of a Sputnik moment, where a perceived technological inferiority forces a sudden and stark realization of a new, unsettling reality. Over the next 5 years, this revelation forces a paradigm shift in military-industrial policy and doctrine. NATO's few and exquisite approach gives way to a new doctrine of mass and resilience, with funding cut from next-generation fighter programs and diverted towards building high-volume production lines for cheap, autonomous interceptor drones and directed energy weapons. The defense industrial base itself is disrupted, with non-traditional manufacturers, including automotive and consumer electronics companies, entering the defense market. Geopolitically, nations with mass production capabilities like Turkey and Iran gain outsized strategic influence. By 2035, the concept of air superiority has changed. It is no longer about controlling the skies with pristine, stealthy aircraft, but about managing a perpetual, low-level swarm threat environment that has become the new normal. For the everyday person living near a potential conflict zone, this changed reality is palpable and unnerving. The distinct, high-pitched whine of small drones becomes a common sound, replacing the distant rumble of jets. Air raid sirens, once a relic of the Cold War, are tested and occasionally sounded, creating a persistent, low-grade anxiety. For the soldiers on the front lines, training shifts dramatically. They are no longer just operators of complex systems, but are now swarm managers tasked with deploying counter-drone UAVs, operating electronic jammers, and making split-second ethical decisions about autonomous engagements. In society, a new debate erupts over the ethics of cheap, attritable warfare, where conflict can be sustained by a factory conveyor belt rather than a nation's entire industrial and technological will. This scenario may not unfold as described because it focuses on a single weapon system in isolation. A powerful counterargument is that Western exquisite systems are not designed to operate alone, but as part of a deeply integrated networked C4I, STAR. Command, control, communications, computers, intelligence, surveillance, target acquisition, and reconnaissance ecosystem. The true strength of a Patriot missile, or an IRIS-T system, is its ability to receive precise targeting data from satellites, AWACS aircraft, and ground sensors, a network that cheap, non-networked Russian drones lack. Therefore, the Swedish report, while alarming, might simply highlight a specific gap in capability that can be plugged with new, networked counter-drone systems, rather than necessitating a complete overhaul of the entire doctrine. The issue is one of integration. not a fundamental failure of the Western approach. What happens when a historically neutral nation buys its adversary's cheapest weapons, only to uncover a truth that could shatter the West's multi-trillion-dollar defense strategy? Thank you for joining me today. Connect with us on social media, #EmergingThreatsHub. I'm Sebastian. Be vigilant, be analytical, and be part of the solution.